why don't we get the ball rolling here? And Jay, I believe you have got your batting leadoff for us tonight.
Yeah, I was telling you guys recently I was watching The Dark and the Wicked, and I just started thinking about horror tropes, and I don't really mean like the most common stuff you think about, like the girls being chased by a killer and she falls down, or a masked killer, or stuff like that. I'm thinking about more deeper dive stuff that we all see in these films, horror films and just films in general. But my list here is primarily horror films. And I encourage the viewers to throw in some that they can think of as well. But yeah, the first one I've got on the list, and this was in Dark and the Wicked. A few of these are actually in Dark and the Wicked, which is a great film, by the way, if you guys haven't seen it. Mm-hmm. But chopping vegetables, like when it starts like slowly, and they gradually speed it up to build suspense. And sometimes they cut themselves, sometimes they don't. Long black hair. That's primarily in Asian films, but you do see it a little bit in some of the remakes. In possession movies, like it's basically just ripping off The Exorcist, like the deep voice, the levitating, the people crawling on the ceiling, stuff like that. And this is a big one. No cell phone signal, no cell service. Like, oh, I'm in trouble. My phone's not working. So black eyes or a distorted face, flat tire. Think of like Wrong Turn, something like that. Or it's always some reason why the car doesn't work, right? Either you can't find the keys, the car won't start, got a flat tire, whatever. The garbage disposal turns on when someone's putting their hand in it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That scares me, by the way, whenever I'm messing with the garbage disposal.
Yeah.
Probably because I've seen too many cheap horror films.
You got to tape that off switch. You got to tape it. Make sure it doesn't.
I actually do that. Believe it or not. Mouth stitched shut. And this is another big one. Children's music or nursery rhymes, like played to add suspense. The group splits up. Hey, shit's going down, and I'm going this way.
Hey, let's split up and look around. We can cover more ground that way.
Yeah, exactly. The refrigerator door or medicine cabinet mirror trick, when you open the fridge and you shut the fridge and there's something there to do a jump scare, a monster, demon killer, whatever. And my last one on the list is people investigating when the house is haunted or not leaving when they know it's haunted, like the Paranormal Activity movies. Like Eddie Murphy had a bit about that in one of his specials. It's just hilarious. But yeah, it's like, I would be gone in like 5 minutes. Like crazy shit's going on, and they're like, well, we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, I was watching a found footage movie recently, and the guy knows that his house is haunted, and the spirit is just messing with him relentlessly, and he just it's like he can't leave. Where's he gonna go? You know what I mean?
It would be like the Roadrunner, man. You would see the shape of my body.
Yeah, a motel. What? Go stay with a friend. I gotta stay here.
There's of course the going back for the cat trope, whereas people put themselves back in danger for the family pet. Which listen, I love my cats, but if I'm going back to certain death, probably not going to happen. So whether it's Ripley or the family from Amityville Horror going back for the dog, no, not going to happen.
I loved one of my favorite ones that was like that. I saw recently in Zombie 5 Killing Birds. A guy runs back into the house to get his computer.
I was just going to say, how about the creepy kid trope? There's always a creepy kid, or the trope where, you're standing there and you look out the window and there's nothing there. And the next time you look out the window, there's some guy or some chick standing there staring at you. Yeah. Or how about the trope with like ringing the bell in the middle of the night, ringing the door in the middle of the night, that kind of thing.
Well, I actually saw The Empty Man just the other day, and I know Lawrence talked a lot about that movie. I really liked it too. They take on the trope of teens tempting fate, and of course then fate tempting them, but they handle it so well. You see that in so many different movies, that deal with like urban legends and stuff like that. But in this movie, they dealt with it so well that it almost like gave new life to that old trope. Yeah, I like that. Like, if you go on that bridge and you stand there and you say, "Come kill me," somebody was going to come kill you. No, they're not. Let me go do that. Oh wait, I'm dead. Oh, I'm screwed. You know what I mean?
Killer dolls or killer clowns. All this stuff's been done to death.
Mm-hmm. The cat in the closet.
The cat in the closet. One thing that I would say was I just took in The Dark and the Wicked the other day. I actually did a video on my channel if you want to go check that out.
Awesome.
But one of the things that came up to me automatically was it really hit on a lot of tropes. But I found like it just did some slight difference or change or something to kind of keep it okay. Like there was a couple times I was like, oh, damn, the woman's chopping carrots. Of course, what's coming? You know what I mean? And I don't want to get into spoiler territory if anyone hasn't seen it, but they just did something slightly. They just extended it a little longer than most movies would, I guess.
They cranked it up.
Yeah,
Cranked it up to 11.
And like, you know, and again, there's a couple of other ones. There's a couple that didn't land for me, but there was quite a few like very, you know, old school horror tropes that they just kind of wrote around nicely, or just made them a little creepier, did something to add to them that I thought kind of, you know, surpassed that kind of lameness in a big way, because I really, really like that movie.
The Dark and the Wicked also does one thing with tropes, which I think is really clever, which is it mirrors them. So like the one you're talking about with the vegetables is later mirrored in the film with an animal. And it's a way to smuggle in an idea, and you don't necessarily trace it back, but you're already thinking on those lines. And if you think about how that scene ultimately plays out, you realize that's kind of the rest of the movie.
That's my favorite film I've seen of 2020 so far, by the way.
Yeah, I think mine too.
Yeah, I can't
My number 2. Another trope that I think is just hilariously overdone is the old man who knows the entire plot.
Yeah.
Right.
Even better if he's a minority, a Native American, an old black guy, you know, because it's just like there's something just about it being old and still being around that gives you knowledge of the supernatural.
Sometimes dead is better.
He shows up with his newspaper clippings.
Yeah, always. Back in 1943, there was a mine.
One of my favorites is the Native American guy from Children of the Corn 2, who just knows everything, and he knows all about the land, and you know he's the wise, you know, Native American shaman kind of guy.
I like the one from Poltergeist too. The shaman from Poltergeist too. He was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. That guy's creepy.
It just reminds me of the Scooby-Doo episode where the guy knew all about the minor 49er. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I was just gonna say, there's the trope with the amnesia, or with the person with multiple personality disorder, which is DID. I shouldn't call it that. I should use the right word, but person with multiple personalities, I think actually is one of my favorite ones. I kind of like that one because sometimes you don't see that one coming. So I kind of like that one. But
or you find out that you think is the protagonist turns out to be the antagonist.
Yeah.
The whole time.
The whole time.
Another good one is the ending where the killer reveals themselves by looking into the camera ominously.
Yeah.
Like you know, oh, that's how you know. Exactly. They give you the ominous look. You know what I mean? But yeah, a lot of fun horror tropes to poke fun at, and we see them so often that I mean, you kind of you don't realize how often you see them until you start thinking about them. You're like, good God, they're in everything.
Yeah.
Even really good movies, they're very tropey, but sometimes, like with Dark and the Wicked, you know, or like The Empty Man, they'll kind of, you know, they'll execute them slightly differently, or they'll up the stakes or something and really show you that there's a reason why those tropes are used over and over again, because sometimes they work, and they work really well.